Hello, and thank you for joining me for my weekly update. After experiencing weeks of our daily case count in the single digits, this week has seen the number of cases jump in the double digits. Last week I shared my concerns with you about the increase in Delta variant cases, and now we're beginning to see those numbers increasing in the county, in the state, and around the region. On the brighter side, according to the CDC data, about 83% of our eligible residents, people 12 years and older, are fully vaccinated, and more than 90% of our eligible population has received at least one dose. This is a major milestone, and I want to thank you for all your efforts. Among jurisdictions with more than 300,000 people, we still have the highest percentage of our population vaccinated. These numbers are impressive, but as we know, children under 12 are not eligible for the vaccine yet. And this week, the American Academy of Pediatrics announced their recommendation that students, regardless of their vaccination status, should be wearing masks in classrooms. We are working with our schools and Board of Health on updated guidance, and I believe we should follow the AAP's recommendation. Additionally, I've asked our COVID response team to create contingency plans in order to prepare next steps if the COVID rates worsen. We've been down that road before, and we want to make sure we handle this the right way. Hopefully, they will not, but we need to be prepared. Earlier this week, I stood with Police Chief Marcus Jones as we provided details surrounding the tragic death of Ryan LaRue and expressed our condolences to the LaRue family. Please know that there will be a full investigation of this matter so we can understand what happened and why. I've also directed the police to do a full review of the incident and their tactics so we can help make sure this outcome does not happen again. The county has a process designed to ensure that the investigation is fair and carried out by an independent third party that does not have an active involvement in policing here. And that is why the Howard County State's Attorney investigates all Montgomery County police-involved shootings. I ask for your patience as the Howard County State's Attorney's Office does their due diligence. I want the residents of Montgomery County, as well as Mr. LaRue's family, to know that this investigation will be transparent. And I've directed the police to release the body-worn camera video to the public as soon as possible, which will happen after the Howard County State's Attorney has statements from all of the witnesses. Understandably, he does not want anyone's statement colored by what they might see in the video. However, we expect the release to occur very soon. The findings from this investigation will be used in our efforts to reimagine public safety and, most importantly, to develop strategies that will produce different outcomes. This week, the Council of Governments Transportation Policy Board voted in favor of the state's plan regarding traffic congestion along I-270 and 495 without the improvements that have been sought by the county and many residents. While I appreciate the state's efforts, the current plan is inadequate to actually solve these problems. Since I first took office, I have offered suggestions to improve the plan, and my office has worked with the state over the past 2 years to bring about major positive changes to the project, like insisting that it include the American Legion Bridge, which was not originally included, that the 270 portion stay within the existing walls, and that the ICC be used to bring cars on 95 that would ordinarily crowd the Beltway over to the express lanes on 270. We have sought from the beginning to reduce the costs and impacts of this project as we also seek to provide traffic relief. I want to be clear about what we were pressing the state to address. For more than 10 years, the county's position has clearly stated that 270 should be expanded by 2 reversible lanes that would provide the needed capacity in the southbound lanes in the morning and the northbound lanes in the evening. The state plan would add 4 lanes, 2 in each direction. That's a lot of extra pavement and a lot of pavement that will not be collecting tolls. Outside of the peak rush hour periods, the road doesn't need 2 additional lanes in each direction. We also wanted design improvements on the western side of the Beltway that would mitigate against environmental and community harm. And we discussed multiple ways to do that with the State Highway Administration, including suggestions that had actually been made by other bidders. And we wanted a complete solution from the American Legion Bridge to Frederick. This may come as a shock to you, but the project at this point starts and stops at the ICC. There is no funding to complete these improvements to Frederick, meaning that commuters from Upper Montgomery and beyond will still be stuck in what the governor called soul-crushing traffic. That also means that the PM peak drive above the ICC will be a nightmare as the toll lanes disappear and all that traffic merges into the general traffic lanes. So many of you, particularly in Germantown and Clarksburg, will start and end your day's journey mired in congestion. And finally, the toll plan is designed to keep too many people from using the toll road by increasing tolls as congestion increases, in the hope that the general lanes stay miserable enough that only people with the means can buy their way out of by paying the tolls, which are projected to be shockingly high. Rather than using tolls to repay the project, these tolls are structured as a barrier against too many people using the new toll lanes. So if you're stuck in general lanes, as most of us will be, soul-crushing traffic will remain, despite all the hype to the contrary. The financing of this plan is also flawed, and as this project now goes before the Maryland Board of Public Works, I hope they will closely review and investigate all the details of this deal. Treasurer Nancy Coppa said that the governor refused to fund the study that her office was legally required to conduct on the financing of this project. So if this is a clean and transparent plan, what is the governor worried about that a study might bring to light? Why is he hiding it? And the legislature's own nonpartisan staff has reported that the governor never had an evaluation done on whether a private partner was necessary for financing this project, or whether instead the state could have borrowed the money for less, financed it with tolls or not, and reduced the price of the project by reducing the financing costs. It is no wonder that the overwhelming number of state senators and delegates wrote a letter to the Transportation Board asking them to uphold their vote and not approve this project until these concerns are addressed. I very much appreciate the members of the Transportation Board and the leaders of this region who understand that we are constructively engaged on trying to solve the problem, and they supported our position with their votes. I'm also appreciative of the community activists and political leaders, including 4 of our council members, who have been engaged on this issue. Many of them joined me for a rally this week to get the word out, and we will continue to work towards an actual solution and to help members of the Board of Public Works understand our concerns. Over the past few weeks, I have also been talking and working with the Maryland Transportation Secretary Greg Slater, including a 2-hour negotiation just last week to try to remove the final implementation issues. To be clear, from the beginning, I have never said no. It's always been about how. My job is to protect our communities, the environment, and ensure that mega projects are designed as cost-effectively as possible. I hope you will read my piece published this week in the Washington Post that explains my position and reasons for opposing the state's current plan. I think the Baltimore Sun editorial got it right when they wrote, quote, "There's something to be said for the process of building a regional consensus over such a huge, potentially disruptive and controversial project as the governor's Capital Beltway I-270 plan. It is better to seek further compromise than jam this down Montgomery County's throat," unquote. And that's from the Baltimore Sun. I will continue to work with the state, along with our council members, state and congressional delegations, and most importantly, our impacted residents and motorists who use I-270, the Beltway, and the American Legion Bridge. Earlier this week, I joined county council members to memorialize some of our neighbors who died while experiencing homelessness. During the course of this pandemic, we have had 6 homeless individuals die of COVID-19, a far lower number than we anticipated when the pandemic started, but still a sad loss. Because too often homeless individuals are invisible, we wanted to acknowledge their humanity. They will be missed and mourned by friends, family, and those who worked with them to help them find stability. We cannot continue to accept conditions that lead to homelessness, including housing costs that are unaffordable and wages that do not cover necessities. Each year, we hope there won't be a need for such a service, and it is my goal to end homelessness in Montgomery County. Experiencing homelessness should be a rare, brief, and non-recurring event. Unfortunately, we've not reached that point. Our nonprofit partners in the Interagency Commission on Homelessness are working closely with Montgomery County's Health and Human Services Department to end and prevent homelessness so we can continue to move closer to net zero chronic homelessness. We must work toward a day when no one dies while living on the street or in a shelter. Thank you for joining me again this week, and as always, I appreciate your support, and I'll be back in touch with you next week.